Drop on by the Clown Cafe, your favorite meals on wheels. The menu is disgusting and it's full of special deals. Nothing here is good for you, so grab yourselves a tray, 'cause food's a little funny at the Clown Cafe. Drop on by the Clown Cafe. Drop on by the Clown Cafe. Gobble up your order quick before it runs away, 'cause food's a little funny at the Clown Cafe. Why not visit after school and have yourselves a bite? An appetizing appetizer certain to delight. We haven't done it right unless it makes your teeth decay, 'cause food's a little funny at the Clown Cafe. Drop on by the Clown Cafe. Drop on by the Clown Cafe. The grub is downright gruesome, but your appetites obey, 'cause food's a little funny. Food's a little funny. Food's a little funny at the Clown Cafe.
We've got Elliott and Leah out here as they run away from me.
Scary.
How about we bring a few more people out, huh? Please welcome Jenna Kanell. Ladies and gentlemen, Damien Leone. I think that's it. Is it? Oh, wait! Ladies and gentlemen, Art the Clown himself, David Howard. Asshole. So how many folks have seen the movie?
Here's the kid down here that's seen it.
Yeah, buddy.
There was an Evil Dead the other night too.
A mini-me.
Yeah.
You made some money the other night.
He did. He made $5 from Bruce.
Because you have the shitty parents.
Yeah.
So how many people saw Terrifier 2 in theaters? That to me was one of the coolest things ever. That, you know, we've kind of talked about this before, but like the past couple of years, horror has made such a resurgence, especially gory horror. And I know last year we did the Terrifier panel, and we were talking about, you know, the scene where you were just like, I felt so bad for her, because we literally had to peel her off of the floor. And to see something like that on the big screen, I mean, wow. So what kind of like reactions did you guys get from friends, family?
So people still think we're lying about people in the theater passing out and throwing up. And literally this weekend, I probably had 4 people come up to me at the table and tell me different stories that they had, that they experienced. And someone actually showed me a picture of their friend with blood all over his face for having passed out in the theater when he cracked his head open. And he's fine. Like they were kind of proud of it. And I was like, and so was I, at some sick level. But that was really wild and surreal. And we knew we were really pushing the envelope, and it was unrated. And I'm sure there were a lot of just casual horror fans hearing about this movie and saying, yeah, I'm going to see this, killer clown movie, and then they're just not prepared for a 4-minute long torture scene like that.
Now, did the friend check on his friend before he took the picture? That's a real friend. Yeah, so what other reactions did you guys get from friends, family about the movie?
My parents didn't see it. They asked me if I could do a rom-com next, and I said no. I'm going to do another horror movie, so sorry. But they were too scared. They didn't want to see it. They watched the Clown Cafe scene while I sang, and then after that, they were like, that's all. That's all we can do. Even in the last scene, the post-credit scene where I play the nurse, and there's the zombie platter, which is like candy, and it's candy in the movie. They were grossed out by that.
Aww.
So, yeah, I know. Lame, right? Yeah, right? Lame.
My parents and my grandparents saw the movie and they love it. And my mom and dad are here right now. And also my girlfriend is here too, and she saw it. So all my family, everyone actually loves the movie.
I just get a lot of people asking me why I'm not in it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be.
It is a regret.
Yeah, same.
I don't even know if my family's seen it yet. I think that they're in Alabama, so who knows? Yeah, they do. I know, well, my sister lives in a group home, so I don't think they wanted to take all the people from the group home to go see this. Because she was at during the first movie when it came out, she was living a very, very Southern Baptist group home at the time, and she was so excited about the movie coming out. She's like, I'm going to show it to all the people in the group home. I'm like, no, don't. Don't. And she did. She called me right after. She's like, oh, you caused some problems. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's why I said don't. So yeah, they all think I need to be exercised there, that group. So.
You see the YouTube reaction videos all the time. That's one that I really want to see now.
Oh yeah.
Group home reaction to Terrifier.
The Southern Baptist group home.
Yes. Jesus.
If anyone can set this up, please see me after the panel, and we'll find a way to make this happen. If anyone works in a group home, come find me.
Horror Hound.
I'm sorry. It was my butt. That's what did it.
And Chris Jericho. Chris freaking Jericho in the movie.
Oh yeah.
How did that come about?
So I believe one of his band members on their tour bus showed him the Hacksaw scene because they're all huge horror fans. And they were like, Chris, you're gonna really dig this. And he was like, oh, come on, another clown movie? They're like, no, just check out this scene. And they showed him the Hacksaw scene. And he absolutely loved it. He watched the whole movie, became a really big fan. And then he ran into you at a con, correct? And they hit it off. He had Dave on his podcast. And then eventually I met him at a con. And we were just hanging out that night and bullshitting and just talking about horror movies and how much we love John Carpenter and stuff like that. And then he just said, if there's ever something I'd love to be a part of it somehow. If there's ever a role or something, like just reach out to me. I'd love to be a part of it. And I was like, went home that night. I was like, get this guy in the movie. And he was so cool. He just came down for, where we lived and shot it on the East Coast for a couple of days. And it was a blast. It was really cool. I mean, Leah got to work with him, obviously.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah,
it was exciting.
And well, I mean, you guys, I'm not sure if you know this, we changed the ending originally it was a different ending. It was very close to Malignant, if you didn't know. She ripped the back of her scalp open, Victoria, and Art's actually growing on the back of her head like a tumor. And then when Malignant came out, I was like, oh fuck, we can't do that anymore. So we went back and reshot the birth. So that original ending with the Malignant scene was a lot more physical.
Basically what happened in that scene originally is Chris and I were at the front desk, we hear screaming, and we run into the room where Victoria is, and she's in the back, and she's like, it hurts. And I go over to her, I'm being all nice, like, what hurts, what's going on? And then my hand gets stuck in the back of her head, and I pull it out, and I have no fingers. So that was the first time I'd ever worked with blood, which was sticky and cold. But we didn't get to see it, unfortunately, but I think the new ending is way better.
Yeah.
Way more sicker? Way sicker. I don't know.
Way sickerer.
Sickerer, yeah. No, the new ending was really awesome. I loved it.
Are we gonna get to see that original ending somewhere? Is that like gonna show up on Blu-ray?
Yeah, I would have done it. The only reason was because once I knew I was going to scrap that scene, it required some visual effects, because that's what we did in the birthing scene as well. We digitally put, Dave's face onto the head, and we had to do the same thing with the head on the back of hers and, that face. And then once that happened, I said, didn't even bother. There was no point. So I don't want to put that on unfinished, but I'm sure someday we'll tweak it and put it on another edition.
So the big question that you kind of had to ask: were you, Leah, Elliott, were you guys fans of the genre before? Huge horror fans? Jenna?
First, I hate to correct you, but my name is Leah, not Leah. Not like the princess.
Well, you're a princess in my eyes.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm a fan of horror, yeah. I wouldn't say that gore is my, number one favorite, subgenre in horror, but yes, I was a big horror fan. I'd seen Terrifier 1. I sat down with a friend to watch it, and she didn't continue. I had to watch it by myself.
Aww.
Yes, I've been a horror fan since I can remember, thanks to my parents. They have incredible taste. But yeah, I grew up watching horror movies, House of a Thousand Corpses, and then, and then I was a huge fan of Terrifier before I even saw the audition. And then when I saw that audition, I was freaking out, and then when I got the role, I was freaking out. And then when I was filming, I was super freaking out, and it was just an all-around beautiful time.
I also loved horror. The opposite reason, because my parents were not supervising me. So I would watch them every time that I was homesick on TV. And I was like, oh, I'm super stoked. This will be a lot of fun. It's too bad no one's ever going to see this.
Elliott, you're talking about how your parents were big horror fans. What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
My favorite horror movie of all time is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mine is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Mine is Hellraiser.
Okay, so
Showgirls.
it's that epileptic sex scene. That's what gets it.
The pool scene.
The group home loves that one.
Every Friday.
I like that.
No one knows I was the pole in that, actually.
I like that they all specified the originals, and that nobody's like, oh yeah, I love the remake. The originals were where it's at for those movies.
Hi, my name's Kaylin Miller. My husband's back there. Logan, say hi. My question is for David, Howard Thornton. Hi. Huge fan. How do you mentally prepare to become Art the Clown? Because, you do some crazy stuff.
Yeah. I don't know what this says about me. I don't go the Jared Leto route, so, which I think they're all very grateful for.
Yes.
I just do my homework before. I based art on both my love of great horror icons, because I kind of look at him as an amalgamation of all these different horror icons that came before him, and then also an amalgamation of all these great silent film actors and great physical comedians that came before him. Thornton, so I have that in my head. And what helped me also was the line that the crazy cat lady has in the movie, where she says he does this because he thinks it's funny. And I'm like, that's great. It's right there. That's his whole thing. He's like, he's performing for himself. He's the anti-clown. He wants to bring pain and misery to everybody else for his own amusement. And that's all I just keep in my head, that he's doing this for fun. And that's what I go with. I just have fun myself.
The movies also gave me like vertigo symptoms for like a week, so thank you for that.
So my question's for Damien mostly. So how does it feel to know that you pretty much created a whole new horror movie like icon? To know that you pretty much created something that everybody knows pretty much now, because I mean the movies are freaking awesome.
Wow, thank you, man. I mean, that's very sweet of you. We love hearing that. I mean, we don't go around saying we've created an icon or anything, because to me, it's like, to hear you guys say that is wonderful. I think the test of time will tell. I think we got a little, a ways to go, but it's surreal, man. And we're so grateful. And I've been a fan of slashers and all these characters since I'm 3-4 years old, literally. So there's still, I say it all the time, there's like a little 7-year-old still, he's in there, and he's like, there's a part of him that just, it's like Christmas morning all the time, when I'm like in this situation, when I'm around you guys, it's so wonderful. But you guys are just so supportive, really, and we're so grateful. It's just, you guys show us so much love. It really does make us feel incredible. So we just want to keep, continuing and make the next one, because there's a part 3 coming, so I'm writing that right now. We do not want to let you guys down, and we want to just keep trying to one-up ourselves and bring it to another level, keep it fresh. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's great to hear that. So thank you.
Do you guys ever get scared on set?
Yes, because we were filming in an actual abandoned building in the first one, and a lot of the stuff was just already there. It was just creepy all by itself. And so you had to walk through this room of abandoned cars and trash and used condoms and things like that just to get to the bathroom. So the set was a horror movie in and of itself.
Yeah, the set for Terrifier 2, the place that we were staying at in New York State, gave off weird, creepy vibes too. Like, just simply like right before we would go to sleep, like my dad and I would be staying in the same room, we would say goodnight, and then the light turned off by itself. Like stuff like that. But filming on set, I had an absolute blast. I mean, I was just geeking out the entire time to be working with Damien, Lauren, Art the Clown, David Howard Thornton, so yes.
We did have a freaky moment one night when we were filming in the Fright Factory in Philly for part 2. It's the one where the poo-poo room, as I call it. It's like the way this building's set up, they have different quadrants in there, and they can turn the power off in each one, and so they only have the power into like the area that we were working in. But you see this doll room that's in the movie, and there's this one doll in there that's on a swing, and it's motion sensor, light sensitive and stuff like that, and it will go off if there's something that moves in front of it. Well, there was no power to that room. And it's about 2 o'clock in the morning when we're filming, and all of a sudden we just hear in the back of that place that doll just go off, going, come play with me. And we're like, no, because all of us were there on set, and this is going on, and like even the guys that run the place were like, yeah, there's no power to that place. But they said that goes off in there all the time. It's just like I get freaked out by dolls and stuff like that too. So I was like, no. So that one kind of freaked me out.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I absolutely love all of your movies. They're all absolutely fantastic. How much blood do you think you used in the bedroom scene?
Not enough.
Yeah, that's a Casey question, right? She would know. I don't know, man. I really stopped. Thank you, first of all. But I really stopped counting at some point. We would just keep ordering and ordering, and then if we were running out on set, we'd like mix it with blood or with water just to get more.
Not real blood.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't say. It's gallons and gallons.
So this question has absolutely nothing to do with the movies, and this is for Elliott Fullam, but some of the other guys can answer. So I know that Elliott likes Iron Maiden, so what is your favorite song by them?
That is an incredible question. I would say Aces High is my favorite Iron Maiden song. Mainly because I have tons of memories driving in the car with that song in particular and singing along as a little kid growing up. So that is definitely my favorite Iron Maiden song. An incredible question.
My question's for David and Damon. How does it feel to know that you've topped the Exorcist crucifix scene?
Wow. With what scene?
Come on.
You want him to say the line?
The bedroom scene. Yeah. Wow. I mean, if you think so, that's pretty fantastic. Yeah. I mean, listen, when everybody would watch Terrifier 1, all they would say after they saw it was, wow, that hacksaw scene, right? That was the scene that everybody talked about. So going into part 2, I knew I had to try and deliver something that would hopefully at least rival that scene. So this was another one. When people read the script to part 2, they were like, oh my God, it's the bedroom scene. And how are you going to pull that off? You're really going to do all that? And I don't know if you know, but we started shooting it before the pandemic. We shot 2 days, and we weren't prepared. We didn't have enough of the effects ready, and I remember, and we knew this was going to be the big scene, and I remember just watching the monitor and being very disappointed on set, just saying, they're never going to say this is as good as the hacksaw scene by any means. And I told everybody, I told my producer, I was like, we're going to have to go back and try and tweak this, get some inserts or something. And then we got hit with the pandemic. We went into lockdown for however long, I don't even remember. And I said, this is the perfect opportunity now to reconfigure this scene. I have all this time. I can build these set pieces, these special effects pieces now, and revamp the whole thing and added so many new things he could do to her, horrible things. I had a whole list that me and Phil Falcone, my producer, I would just send him new things. He would even write things. And we almost did all of them. I think there was one thing we never filmed because it was just as if we didn't go too far already. I think there was a point where Art actually bit her tongue out. And I was like, this is too much. That was my too much. But yeah, and then we went back and we eventually...
Was it because you didn't get the candy?
I'm sorry?
Was it because you didn't get the candy?
It didn't help.
No, it's because she called him a mime. He's not a mime. He's a silent clown. He was already gonna kill her, but she said the mime thing. She's like, oh yeah, you're really gonna die.
Thanks, buddy.
I just want to start off by saying you guys are all absolutely amazing, both as actors and directors and singers.
Thank you.
But this one's for Damien. I was wondering, when you first saw David try out for Art, were you just thinking, this is the guy, this is the one I want? Because I saw his audition, it was just spot on.
Yeah, honestly, instantly, like pretty much before he even auditioned. Like he walked in the room and I was specifically looking for a physicality. I wanted somebody taller, sort of lanky, and he had a great smile, and he still does, but I just knew when I saw him that his face was going to look wonderful in the prosthetic.
The face he just wanted to cover up.
And then, come on, this guy's talented as all hell. I said, he didn't know what he had to do. He just came in to audition for a killer clown. That's all he knew. There were no lines, there were no sides. And he said, what do I do here? And I was like, I don't have any lines. I said, no, there's no lines. I just want to see you act like you're decapitating somebody, but you're having a great time. Okay. And then he just flipped this switch and did his David Howard Thornton shtick. And that was it. And it was just me and Phil Falcone in the room watching and nudging him and laughing, and we're having such a good time watching the whole time. We're like, wow, like just this guy in the makeup and now bringing that skill set to it is going to bring Art to another level. And he was like the sixth guy to come into the room, seriously, and I wound up just shutting it down after that. like, there's no reason. What else are we looking for? I said to Phil. I said, let's just have him come back, put the prosthetic on, and now we'll film him doing all this again in the makeup, and that's what we did. Well,
I just say that I love the movie, but I remember one day, it was in October, I think it was on October 6th, I was in ELA scrolling through like all the movies in the cinema, and I saw Terrifier 2 on there. I was like, I have to see this movie, this looks really good. I walked in later that night, I sat there, the first 5 minutes, I was just sitting there with my eyes closed like, is it over, is it over? I barely made it an hour and a half through, and I had to walk out. I called me and I was like, I can't do this, I'm done.
how old are you?
I'm 14, but at the time I was 13.
Doing watching that movie?
I was completely by myself after that was and so my question is, why do you consider it my question is, why do you consider it a badge of honor if somebody leaves early? Like leaves your movie?
Yeah, that's a good, well, for one, it means that my effects are pretty damn good, right? That they're convincing. Thank you. But that's what you're trying to do. I mean, you're trying, it depends how a filmmaker tackles, gore in a movie or violence or something. Sometimes, it can have a different effect. The alley scene, the bedroom scene in particular, like I wanted that to be really off-putting. I didn't want people to have a good time. That wasn't supposed to be a fun scene to watch. So if that's the reaction, that's kind of what I was going for. Not that I want people to leave the theater, and it also is, Terrifier 2 in particular has a very fantasy heavy, obviously, element. It's very fantasy laden. So from the first 2 minutes you're not living in reality. I mean, this is killer clown just comes back from the dead in the first 2 minutes. So right off the bat, this is a fictional world, and hopefully that makes the violence a little more palatable, because it's not like you're watching a movie like Martyrs, which I love, but that's not the kind of experience I want the audience to have, where they just feel really kind of down and the world is bleak when you leave the theater. I want it to be a fun experience, because this character is fun. I mean, clearly you get to laugh with this guy even though he's doing horrible things. So, but yeah, that's why. Hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Hey, so real quick, have you gone back and finished the movies?
I tried to get back in. 2 weeks later, I went back, but they kicked me out. So I had to go watch Black Adam, and the whole time I just had this mindset that sucks. I just went to watch Terrifier 2, and then I started on Prime 3 weeks later.
Take that, The Rock.
Hi, I'm the horrible parent of this child.
Yeah, we love you, Mom.
We met you yesterday. He is such a fan, Mr. Leone. And your name is dropped like every other day in our house. So, as a mom of an aspiring filmmaker, how do I foster his dream while keep him rooted in the reality of this business?
I'd say just support him. That's the one thing I was grateful for with my parents growing up, is they were always very active in everything I did. When I started doing community theater and all that fun stuff, and if I was in a show and my dad wasn't cast in the show, he'd work tech. My mom would work backstage helping make costumes. She was the stage manager. Unfortunately, I lost my mom when I was in college, but that's why I'm who I am today, because I was studying to be a teacher. And she told me, don't do what you think you have to do with your life, do what you want to do with your life. Life's too short not to go out there and pursue your dreams. And about a year later, I made the realization I want to entertain people rather than teach them. And my father, I was expecting him to be against that, because he's an engineer and very structured, and I was instead he was like, no, your mom and I always thought you should be an actor, we just don't want to tell you what to do with your life, but you go and do this. And he was always supporting me to this day. He's extremely thrilled. But all those years I was in New York struggling as an actor for 13 years waiting tables, he wasn't saying, hey, have you ever thought about going back and teaching? He's like, no, keep on doing it, keep on doing it, keep on doing it. So I'd say the most important thing you can ever do for your child is support them in whatever they do.
So I actually have a question for all of you, but I'm not good with notes and I wrote it down beforehand so I could do it. So, but my first question is for Jenna. First, I want to say thank you for being a inspiration and such a sweet advocate for autism and mental health and wellness. And I saw that Bumblebee video, and it just, I don't know, it just really, really inspired me a lot. And my question is, what would you say is the biggest obstacle for you to understand about autism and or mental illness? And what steps have you taken or are you taking to help overcome those obstacles?
First of all, thank you. It means a lot to me that Bumblebee spoke to you, and for anyone who doesn't know what they're talking about, it's the first short film I ever directed years ago, and if you're curious about the story, my brother is on the spectrum, and I did a TEDx talk about his story, and the film plays at the end, so if you want, that's on YouTube. You said the first one was, what's the most important thing to know about?
Oh,
and
what's the biggest obstacle that you find in understanding and trying to understand?
Yeah, I think the biggest obstacle in terms of understanding any form of neurodivergence is just that everyone is different and that it looks different in everyone, and that all of us are, we've all got something going on. We've all been through things, or we're handed, circumstances or mental or physical differences, and it just looks different for everyone. And I think everyone's journey is different, and it's just important to try to be compassionate to one another, because we don't know what it's like to be somebody until we really get to know them. And I think what was the second part?
That was the second part.
Oh, yeah. That's the biggest hurdle, is just
Did you like
learning
the
to
Chrome
understand.
Star, by the way?
What?
Did you like the Chrome Star?
I did. Thank you so much. I cried when I opened it. It was really beautiful. Thank you so much for everything you said.
Also, I'm on the spectrum too.
I think most of us probably are.
So it's like, that shows you, even if you, anybody can do anything they can put their mind to, so,
Yeah. And I personally find that horror movies have been a huge respite for dealing with my depression and my anxiety. I imagine, I see a lot of nodding heads. For me, it's a good way to deal with, now I'm not anxious about capitalism. I'm anxious about this person getting out of this house. And that's refreshing.
So the first thing I wanted to say is, Mr. Leone, the way you talk about the bedroom scene is like Gremlins, where they were just trying to do everything. But my question's for everyone. Throughout the entire 2 movies, what was your favorite scene to film or create for Mr. Leone?
Okay, I'll start. I would say probably my favorite day on set was when we were doing the Clown Cafe scene, and I got to shoot a Tommy gun and a flamethrower in the same day. I was like a big kid on set that day, and poor Damien couldn't shoot any of that stuff because we had all these safety protocols, and I think he was very jealous of me that day. But I would say one thing will never prepare you for actually setting a human being on fire. That was the coolest thing ever and the scariest thing ever at the same time. Because I was only supposed to do whoosh and whoosh. I was supposed to do 2 whooshes, if that makes sense. But she went up in 1 whoosh. They're like, okay, go away now. And I'm like, okay. So that little dance you see me, that's like a oh shit dance going on. It was an awesome day though.
I think the most fun I had was in part 1. It was probably the pizzeria scene. That was really fun. It was comfortable. We were out of that warehouse. We had pizza at anytime we wanted it. There wasn't a lot of blood. Like in particular, just when he's staring at Jenna, just making all the faces and stuff. That was a really fun day. And the hardest I laughed. Everything's terrible, honestly. It is not fun to shoot these movies. It's great to be surrounded by them, to be in their company, because everybody's so cool and funny and supportive, but the days are just long, and we're usually in horrible environments. But the one thing that stood out was the night he's riding the bicycle, and it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and we were like so delirious, and we had to get out of that location in like a couple of hours or something. And he just was trying to ride that bike, and he's so big compared to that bike, and he just kept crashing and singing Queen while he was doing it.
That's Herbert the Pervert from Family Guy. So it's like, I want to ride my bicycle.
Yeah, I just like forgot that we were even shooting at some point. The camera's just going, and I'm just there, just watching it, cracking up. So that was fun. I'd say those 2 days.
Yeah, the pizzeria scene was a ton of fun. It's like the foreplay for the whole thing. And then I my favorite was beating you with the 2x4. Of course. How could it not be?
I would say my favorite scene, I actually loved the entire experience. I mean, like Damien said, to be around with such talented people was just truly beautiful. But if I had to pinpoint one scene, it was definitely firing the shotgun. That was very, very fun.
And I gotta pick the Clown Cafe, obviously. That was so much fun. We were on set for about a week, and as Damien said, like most of the days that they were on set were like these long, like horrible, cold days, but the Clown Cafe was honestly like a breeze. Like the days were short, it was super fun. Every background actor got their own like special death scene with their own close-up. Some days when I was wrapped, I'd come back to set and be like, can I help? And I was helping with the blood effects, like we had to blow into tubes to like get the blood to splurt out of the gun wounds, so I was helping with that, having fun. I also wasn't the one that David got to set on fire. That was a stunt double, Jenna Kanell. She also did some stunts for Sienna Lauren as well, so that was sick to watch. That was so fun watching like this whole set that we'd been on for a whole week just like go up in flames. I did love it.
So getting a movie made is almost impossible, and making it good is even harder. So what was it like to be able to sit down and write this 2.5-hour epic that really pushes the boundaries of just being a slasher? And also, what was it like getting that okay from Bloody Disgusting to have this big theatrical release that people just wanted to keep coming back and keep it in theaters for so long?
And this was the first time I ever got to write a script where that was my job, actually. I didn't have to do a 9 to 5 and try and fit in a script in between or something. So it took me probably 3 months to write it. And I fell into a horrible routine of starting to write around 7 o'clock at night and then going to bed at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and waking up at 3 in the afternoon. So I like barely saw daylight. That's how Terrifier 2 comes into existence. It's like
It sounds like the experience of filming the first one.
Yeah, exactly. I was like living in the dark. But you know, I knew what the story was for a while before I sat down. It came to me very naturally and organically. And I never thought about the length. It was just like the script that I wrote is just the story I wanted to tell, and there was there's very little scenes that I cut once I got into the editing room. It's a long movie. But going back to now Bloody Disgusting, I mean, so much credit to Cinedigm, who's the head of Bloody Disgusting. They really believed in this movie and my vision, and they never had a problem with the amount of gore in it. I mean, they knew the rating could potentially be a big problem, and the length is unprecedented. Yeah, so many things about Terrifier 2 is pretty unprecedented for them to put it into the theaters as is. I mean, that was their idea. We didn't even think it was going to be in the theaters, maybe play in like 10 theaters over a weekend or something, some little art house theaters. And it was, they were saying, no, there's a good chance we can get this in like 500 theaters. Then it was 800, and I was like, oh wow, this is real. And AMC's and Regals and like actual big chains. So we got really excited. We were like, oh, this is going to be something interesting. Because I always wished it could be in the theater, because I knew it would be a fun movie to watch with an audience. I knew there'd be a lot of reactions, a lot of laughing, and people getting sick and screaming and everything. So, and once that started happening, man, that felt really good. That was exciting. So that was a crazy 2 weeks once it was playing in the theaters, and Stephen King was tweeting about it, and Howard Stern was talking about it. So that was cool. But Cinedigm really pushed that, made that happen. So kudos to them.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Hi guys, thanks for being here. We all love it and are obsessed with you. So sequels are tricky, and you guys knocked it out of the park. This is actually the best horror movie sequel I've ever seen, and the most fun I've had, like sitting in a theater and watching a horror film. But and it's also kind of really launched you guys, which is so exciting to see. But like, how has that been? Like getting more like in the genre and like more recognition and more like everyone's like more. How exciting is that?
Pretty exciting. Thank you for all those kind words, by the way. Listen, everybody's getting some great offers, a lot more notoriety. I've gotten to meet with some really crazy people in the industry, which has been wild. I got to do a Zoom with Sam Raimi, which was I actually have a project in development with Ghost House Pictures, so hopefully that happens as well as Terrifier. But yeah, it's been amazing for me. What about you guys?
Oh yeah, totally amazing. I'm just extremely grateful right now. It's great. I'm excited to see what goes on, forward for all of us in our careers right now. So I'm stoked.
I mean, in terms of recognition, I have the opposite experience as everybody else because I look very different in the movie than I do before you because I shaved my head for a film. And so now I have the experience of people will be talking about horror movies and I'll be on set and people will be talking and they're like, oh my God, have you seen Terrifier? I've been asked that several times with a straight face. And I'm like, I have a fun fact for you.
Exactly what David said. I am extremely grateful. I mean, meeting all of you has been a blast. Going to these horror conventions has been awesome. Horror Hound has been awesome. So I've just been having fun.
Same with me, super grateful. Having a minor role in the film, I didn't know what the fan reaction was going to be to the people who only had 1 or 2 scenes, and I'm just very grateful that people want to meet me at these things, want to come hang out. It's fun. I have a great time.
Thanks, guys. Can't wait to see the next one.
Thank you so much.
We're gonna have time for 1, maybe 2 more questions.
I wanted to say thank you for bringing back good horror. It was stagnant for so long, and I feel like with Terrifier brought back a lot of the good gore horror, where everyone kind of mentioned Texas Chainsaw, and then it's been a long time since anything like that happened. It was great because it made my kids fall in love. My middle daughter, Evelyn, is obsessed with David, and she always loves art, so that's who made me come here. I know you talked about Chris Jericho. Who's a celebrity that you like, and it's for everyone, to see art kill in the next movie?
Well, I want to see him kill Chris Jericho. He didn't kill him. That's my dream. That's what I keep saying.
John Malkovich.
I don't know who I'd like to see art kill, but man, I would love to work with Bruce Campbell.
The Rock. Bring back the Black Adam thing,
He's 3 times the size of Art.
I know, that's what would be funny about it.
An action scene. Rock and Art.
Yeah, that would rock. Then he would roll. I'm here all week, folks.
I think having Bruce in there do a one-liner and then get killed off would be great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, bud.
I just want to start by saying, first off, good job on the amount of money that you guys have made with this movie. I didn't know how much crazier you guys were going to get with the second one, but oh yeah, you definitely pushed it. Especially that guy out there in the middle. Bedroom scene, oh my God, I was raising eyebrows throughout that movie, how much further can they really take this? Oh, and yeah, you over there on the far right, your singing voice is beautiful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So, originally, one of my 2 questions was going to revolve around the Clown Cafe, but I guess I already heard enough about how that whole process kind of went through. But I guess I might as well ask, how long did it take for you guys to go through with the ending, carnival scene and all the final confrontation during that? Go through with the ending, carnival scene and all the final confrontation during that?
Yeah, long time.
Damn long.
Because you had the exteriors were in an actual amusement park. That was the first night of filming. Actually, was him chasing Brooke through the amusement park, the exteriors. And I had to guess how bloody he was going to be at that point in the film. So I remember that on the first day, like just pouring more and more blood, and then just being like, I think you're going to be worse at this point. Like after you'd already killed Allie at this point. So that was tricky. But then months later, we went underground into a haunted house, and that's where we filmed all the interiors. And that was an absolute nightmare. We tried to. We were planning to film that, I think, in 2 or 3 days, everything that happened inside, and it wound up taking us 7, and everybody on set broke, like, during the course of filming that. It was miserable. It was so cold. But, yeah, we got through it. You just gotta suck it up and...
By the way, are any of you guys up there, like, fans of Svengoolie?
Yeah. Absolutely. Why is that?
That's all I asked. But thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Jordan. All right, let's take the last one right here.
Hello. First off, David, thank you for taking a photo with me and my wife yesterday. We're a big fan of your video, 110 impression in 9 minutes. I saw it on YouTube years ago. For Damien, a Friday during the heavy metal Q&A they did here, Spencer from Ice Nine Kills expressed interest into doing a collaboration of some sorts with you, whether it be through their music or one of your films. Just wondering, is that interest also on your all's end?
Oh, hell yeah, in a heartbeat. Love Spencer. Yeah, super talented. Yeah, I love that band. I mean, they're so cool. Yeah, in a heartbeat. I'm talking to him all the time about trying to do something, so we'll see. Yeah.
I was under the impression that the third one would be scored by Dolly Parton.
Spoiler alert.
I used to do Dolly Parton jokes all the time back in the day too.
I thought you were going to say a Dolly impression, which I would also.
That's what I did. I did back in my church, way back in the day. I did a whole entire drag version of 9 to 5. And I was typing on the typewriter with my boobs and stuff like that at church in Alabama.
All right, we're taking this show to the group home.
It was great. Yeah. And I got to go to church with you sometime.
Oh, that's why.
The last thing, the one thing that I'm noticing, we did a panel a year ago, and it was just the two of you. But I'm looking out over the audience right now, and look at all of these Art the Clown and Terrifier shirts out there, as compared to how many there were last year. I mean, that's awesome. Look at all of it. This is just amazing. All right, give yourselves a round of applause for supporting good horror movies.
There's 96 without you guys, so thank you.
We're going to see it in the theaters. We're buying the Blu-rays for everything. Let's hear it for these guys one more time. The cast and crew of Terrifier.
Thank you, everybody.
Be sure to stop by their tables, get an autograph, get a picture, do whatever, get selfies. Support these guys big time.